I love it. I love bringing people together. How are we?
Lex.
Hi, hello, Lex. It is a pleasure. Ow, wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
You know you can't win.
For more than 70 years, we've been captivated by the adventures of superheroes, from the original comic books to Hollywood blockbusters such as Batman vs. Superman, due out in March. The genre has never been more popular, but how did it begin? A new exhibit is unmasking the creators of Batman, Spiderman, and many other now classic characters. Mark Albert takes us there.
On a street corner in Gotham, this black, modified Ford Galaxy has the power to freeze people in their tracks. It's one of 4 Batmobiles created for the 1960s Batman TV show. And it's the bait to pull you into an exhibit at the New York Historical Society called Superheroes in Gotham.
I love this. It says emergency bat turn lever, bat ray projector.
This would stop traffic anywhere.
Nina Nazionale is the exhibit's co-curator.
It's great to see them line up and just ogle it.
Yeah, it's a showstopper.
It's beautiful.
Generations of fans have fallen in love with not just the Caped Crusader and his ride, but with the whole universe of superheroes. Gotham may be a made-up world, but its hold on us is real.
When you walked into this exhibit, what did you think?
I think, like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to see these comics.
12-year-old Zachary Fisco and his 7th grade class are some of the 4,000 students who will be whisked through the exhibit during its 4-month run.
That's a pretty cool hat.
Thank you.
12-year-old Rosalie Vera is a fangirl.
How many comic books do you have? You have to think about it. You're counting. More than 5? 25 comic books. Why have school groups come in here?
They know who all the superheroes are, and yet they don't know the history. And I think it will give them ideas. I mean, I hope it will, in terms of creating some of their own comic books or art.
You want them to be inspired.
We definitely want them to be inspired.
That inspiration comes from seeing the humble beginnings of extraordinary characters and the men who created them.
We have Batman #1.
For example, Batman's solo debut in this May 1939 issue, or Superman in Action Comics #1. Original sketches. The 1938 Royal typewriter made of steel that gave birth to the Man of Steel. And the wool and cotton costume worn by actor George Reeves in the 1950s television show Inventors of Superman. The truth behind how the fiction began is as fantastical as the tales these men would tell. Many of the original creators were the first in their families to be born in the U.S., looking not to save the world, but just to survive in it during the Great Depression and then World War II, when the country desperately needed heroes.
These weren't established artists in their 40s and 50s. These were teenagers.
Yes, they were very young, and they were looking for work. They were often discriminated upon because they were the sons of immigrants, most all of them the sons of Jewish immigrants.
So some cloaked themselves, changing their names to fit in and get published. Stanley Lieber became Stan Lee, the co-creator of Spiderman, Iron Man, and the Hulk. Jacob Kurtzberg transformed into Jack Kirby, collaborating with Lee after he co-created Captain America. Robert Kahn disguised himself as Bob Kane, co-creator of Batman. And Jerry Siegel, who conceived of Superman with Joe Shuster, even reportedly used more than one pseudonym.
The infamous Krypton is now the Man of Steel, Superman.
From this first Superman cartoon in 1941, superheroes would eventually take flight as the gravity-defying media juggernaut we know today. Comics have proven so commercially indestructible, Disney bought Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion in 2009 and has kept an endless line of superhero films coming. Rival DC Comics has 5 TV shows on right now, including Supergirl on CBS about Superman's cousin. It debuted as the season's most watched new show. And the comic conventions known as Comic-Con attract a rabid faithful, fueling a booming market. One estimate puts physical sales of comic books and graphic novels in 2015 at about $875 million, a record.
We want younger people who will become artists at some point to realize that it's possible, and everyone has to start somewhere.
Even this daydreaming 9-year-old who drew Batman in his Hebrew school book. 75 years later, that book is in the exhibit. And a grown-up Mort Gerberg is in the New Yorker.
The only way I could compensate for being, like a 1 foot, bespectacled, skinny, Jewish little kid who got beaten up all the time.
Was to draw.
Was to draw, right. Become a superhero in my own way.
A half-century after his doodle of the Dark Knight, Gerberg used Batman again for this memorable New Yorker cartoon in 1997.
Why are you still captivated by superheroes?
You never lose that initial fascination with cartoons.
And those adults are passing that fascination onto their kids, who, perhaps for the first time, realize you don't need superpowers to change the world.
I mean, I do feel more inspired by them in that kind of way, that you can become bigger than you think you are.
A belief they, too, are able to leap tall obstacles with just a single bound. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Mark Albert, 8.
The exhibit at the New York Historical Society runs through February 21st. I went with my son last weekend, in part because we saw the Batmobile right inside the front door. You can see it as you walk by, and we were just like drawn in.
Well, did you give him the lecture about how his past could affect his future now that you know about the creator?
He gets that lecture every week.